In the early 20th century, when most people saw the automobile as a luxury for the wealthy, one man dared to imagine a world where every family could own one. Henry Ford was not born into privilege, nor did he inherit vast fortunes. He was a farm boy with calloused hands, restless eyes, and an insatiable curiosity about machines. At a time when horses still filled the streets and few believed cars would ever become practical, Ford envisioned more than a machine. He dreamed of transforming society itself, of giving freedom and mobility to ordinary people. His journey would be filled with obstacles, skepticism, and relentless criticism. Yet, through determination and vision, Henry Ford reshaped not only the automobile industry, but the very way humanity lived, worked, and dreamed. This is the story of how a boy from Michigan built more than cars. He built a revolution. Henry Ford was born in 1863 on a modest farm in Dearborn, Michigan. Life on the farm was demanding, built on routines of planting, harvesting, and caring for animals. But while his siblings and neighbors accepted the rhythm of agricultural life, young Henry could not. His heart did not beat in time with the soil. It beat in rhythm with gears, wheels, and mechanical wonder. He often dismantled farm equipment just to see how it worked, leaving his father exasperated as tools and watches lay in pieces on the workbench. Yet this curiosity was not destruction. It was discovery. He was searching for understanding, peeling away the mysteries of movement, power, and precision. One day, when Henry was just 12, he saw his first steam engine, a self-propelled road machine. The sight was electric, awakening a fire that would never burn out. He imagined the possibilities of machines replacing the back-breaking toil of animals and men. In that moment, the world seemed larger and more alive, full of promise. This was no idle fascination. It became the compass of his life. As he grew older, Ford left the farm behind. At 16, he walked into Detroit searching for work and knowledge. He became an apprentice machinist, spending long hours surrounded by the clang of metal, the hiss of steam, and the smell of oil. Each day, he absorbed more than just tasks. He absorbed the language of industry. At night, when the shop quieted, he worked on his own projects, refining his understanding of engines and their potential. He was not just learning a trade, he was preparing for a destiny. But Ford's early journey was not without hardship. Wages were low, work was exhausting, and progress often felt slow. Yet his passion carried him forward. Unlike many of his peers, he saw machines not as enemies that replaced labor, but as liberators that could give men freedom from endless toil. This vision placed him on a path where curiosity fused with determination, guiding him toward an invention that would change the world forever. By his early 20s, Henry Ford had developed a mastery of engines. He worked for the Edison Illuminating Company, where his sharp mind and relentless drive quickly earned him recognition. As chief engineer, he was responsible for keeping Detroit's electrical service running smoothly. Yet, even as he kept the lights burning, his nights were consumed by a private passion project. In a small shed behind his home, Ford worked tirelessly to create a gasoline-powered vehicle. In 1896, after countless hours of trial and error, frustration and hope, his dream materialized into reality. The quadricycle, a strange but promising contraption of 4 bicycle wheels, a crude frame, and a simple engine, sputtered to life. The machine roared down the streets of Detroit, startling onlookers who had never seen anything like it. It was fragile, imperfect, and far from practical. But it was alive, and it was his. For Ford, the quadricycle was not just a vehicle. It was proof that vision could be forged into reality. This creation brought him recognition, but also challenges. Investors came and went, factories rose and fell, and early ventures collapsed under the weight of financial missteps. Ford's first 2 automobile companies failed. Most men would have abandoned such a risky path, but Ford saw failure not as defeat, but as tuition for the future. Each setback became a lesson, sharpening his vision and his resolve. At this stage, automobiles were seen as novelties for the rich. They were expensive toys, far out of reach for the ordinary worker. But Ford held a different dream. He believed that cars should not be luxuries, but necessities. He imagined every family, farmer, and worker behind the wheel of an affordable vehicle. To make that happen, he needed not only invention, but transformation. He needed a way to build cars faster, cheaper, and more efficiently than anyone had ever imagined. Henry Ford's vision would not be realized simply by creating a better car. The true challenge lay in creating a better system. In 1908, the Ford Motor Company released the Model T. It was rugged, reliable, and affordable compared to its competitors, but still not within reach for everyone. Ford wanted to push further. He wanted the Model T to be the car of the people, and to achieve this, he needed to rethink how things were made. Inspiration struck from unexpected places. Ford observed the disassembly lines of Chicago meatpacking plants, where animals were taken apart in stages by specialized workers. What if the same concept could be reversed? What if, instead of dismantling, workers assembled? The result was the moving assembly line, a groundbreaking innovation that changed manufacturing forever. Introduced in 1913, the assembly line turned production into a symphony of efficiency. Each worker had a specific task repeated endlessly as parts moved past on a conveyor. The speed and output were unprecedented. What once took 12 hours to build now took 90 minutes. Costs plummeted, and so did the price of the Model T for the first time. The average American could dream of owning an automobile. The impact was seismic. Families who once relied on horses now traveled distances they had never imagined. Farmers brought their produce to markets more efficiently. Workers commuted farther, opening opportunities that reshaped towns and cities. The Model T was more than a car. It was freedom on four wheels, a democratization of mobility. But innovation came with challenges. The repetitive work of the assembly line was grueling, and labor unrest grew. In response, Ford introduced the unheard-of wage of $5 a day in 1914, more than double the average. This bold move shocked the business world, but had profound effects. Workers could now afford the very cars they built. Turnover dropped, loyalty grew, and the Model T's dominance surged. Ford had not only revolutionized manufacturing, he had redefined the relationship between employer, worker, and product. The success of the Model T transformed Henry Ford into one of the most famous men in America. By the 1920s, millions of these vehicles rolled across the country, carrying families, goods, and dreams. Yet with great triumph came new challenges. Competitors, inspired by Ford's breakthroughs, began to innovate themselves. Companies like General Motors offered cars in different colors, styles, and models, appealing to the desire for variety and personalization. Ford, however, clung stubbornly to his belief in uniformity. The famous line, "You can have any color you want, so long as it's black," reflected his philosophy of efficiency, but also revealed a rigidity that would later cost him. Meanwhile, the world outside his factories was changing. Cities expanded, roads multiplied, and consumer tastes grew more sophisticated. People no longer wanted just affordability. They wanted choice, comfort, and identity in their cars. Ford's refusal to adapt quickly enough began to erode his dominance. The very innovation that had propelled him to greatness now demanded evolution. And Ford struggled with the tension between consistency and change. Internally, Ford faced obstacles as well. His strong and controlling management style sometimes created tension, and certain decisions were questioned by his peers. These challenges, together with aspects of his public image, added complexity to his legacy. Yet even amid these struggles, the core of Ford's vision remained. He had proven that machines could liberate humanity from limitations. He had shown that ordinary people deserved extraordinary opportunities. Though competition chipped away at his empire, his impact was already irreversible. He had not just built cars. He had built a culture of mobility, innovation, and possibility. Henry Ford's influence extended far beyond the walls of his factories. His vision reshaped economies, cities, and even the way people perceived time and distance. Roads stretched across the nation, suburbs expanded, and industries flourished in the orbit of the automobile. Gas stations, motels, diners, and countless businesses emerged, all sustained by the mobility Ford had unleashed. Ford was also fascinated by broader ideas. He experimented with concepts like the Fordlandia project in Brazil, attempting to create a self-sustaining industrial community in the Amazon. Though ultimately a failure, it revealed his restless spirit and desire to apply his methods on a global stage. He sought not just to build cars, but to shape society according to his ideals. But Ford was a man of contrasts. His passion for innovation was matched by stubbornness that often placed him at odds with others. Some of his perspectives reflected the mindset of his time, and his resistance to change in certain business decisions created setbacks. Yet, despite these flaws, his drive to experiment, to reach beyond the ordinary, remained central to his character. By the end of his career, Ford had become a symbol. To many, he represented progress, possibility, and the power of vision. To others, he embodied the complexities of ambition, where great achievements walk hand in hand with human imperfections. His story was no longer just about one man. It was about how one vision can ripple across the world, reshaping lives in ways unimaginable at the time. As the decades passed, Henry Ford's direct influence waned, but his legacy continued to accelerate. The principles of mass production spread across industries, shaping everything from consumer goods to technology. Factories across the globe adopted assembly lines, making products more accessible and changing the rhythm of economies. The dream of affordability that Ford once held became a standard expectation in modern industry. The automobile itself evolved, branching into countless forms, brands, and innovations. Yet the foundation remained: cars as instruments of freedom for ordinary people. The Model T had opened the door, and the world walked through it. Ford's contributions also influenced labor relations, with his bold wage increase marking a turning point in how companies viewed workers not just as cogs in a machine, but as consumers and partners in progress. Perhaps most importantly, Ford's life serves as a testament to the power of vision and perseverance. He was not born extraordinary. He did not inherit greatness. He built it through curiosity, determination, and relentless pursuit of a dream. Even his failures became bricks in the road to success, each one teaching lessons that propelled him forward. Today, when we drive highways that span continents, when we step into factories producing goods at breathtaking speed, when we see ordinary people enjoying opportunities once reserved for the elite, we are witnessing echoes of Henry Ford's dream. His legacy is not just parked in museums. It lives in motion, in every journey that begins with the turn of a key. Henry Ford's story is more than history. It is a mirror for anyone who has ever dreamed beyond the ordinary. His life reminds us that vision alone is not enough. It must be paired with persistence, courage, and the willingness to face failure without surrender. Ford's farm boy curiosity became the spark for a revolution, proving that greatness often begins in humble places. Yet his life also warns us of the dangers of rigidity. Success demands not only creation, but adaptation. Ford's reluctance to change cost him dominance, a reminder that even the brightest visions must evolve with time. Progress is not a single invention or achievement. It is a constant journey of renewal. Still, Ford's central lesson endures. The power to reshape the world is not reserved for the privileged. It belongs to those who dare to imagine, to act, and to persevere. His automobiles changed landscapes, but his spirit changed mindsets. He showed that ordinary people could achieve extraordinary freedom. That vision could lift society beyond its limits. For every dreamer standing at the edge of doubt, Ford's story whispers, begin. Fail if you must, but learn. Persist through criticism and adapt when the world shifts. Because the path to transformation is rarely smooth, but always possible. In the end, Henry Ford's greatest invention was not the Model T or the assembly line. It was the idea that a single person's vision, pursued with relentless determination, can move humanity forward. The story of Henry Ford is not simply about cars or factories. It is about the boundless potential of vision joined with persistence. From a boy curious about machines to an industrialist who transformed the modern world, Ford's journey shows us that greatness can rise from ordinary beginnings. His life was marked by triumphs and flaws, by brilliance and stubbornness, by innovation and mistakes. And yet, through it all, he left behind a legacy that continues to shape our lives. When we think of Ford, we do not only think of the Model T or the assembly line. We think of the idea that freedom, mobility, and opportunity should not be the privilege of a few, but the right of many. We think of the courage to push against the skepticism of society and the resilience to rise after failure. We think of the power of vision to reshape not just industries, but the way we live and dream. Henry Ford's story reminds us that progress is born not from comfort, but from challenge. It is built not in the absence of doubt, but in the presence of determination. And most of all, it is carried forward by those who believe that the impossible is only the possible waiting to be revealed. As we close this journey, let us carry Ford's lesson into our own lives. Let us nurture curiosity, embrace persistence, and remain open to change. Because within each of us lies the capacity to dream, to build, and to leave a legacy that outlives our years. If one man from a Michigan farm could ignite a revolution that still moves the world, then imagine what you might create with the vision you hold inside. Thank you for watching this story. Share in the comments where you are watching from and what this story inspired in you. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So together, we can keep exploring the lives that continue to shape our world.